Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into the world of Dan Brown's Deception Point today. It's a bit different from his usual stuff, right? No ancient symbols this time.
Exactly. It lands us squarely in, well, high-tech espionage, political maneuvering, the real gritty stuff.
Yeah, and our mission today is to take this thriller, this fictional story, and see how it stacks up against, the real-world pressures on NASA.
And the rise of private space companies, that whole dynamic.
Plus the sheer difficulty, the cost of burying a secret that deep under Arctic ice, no less.
It's a really worthwhile deep dive, I think, because, Brown gets flack for his formula sometimes, but Deception Point, many people feel it's his most, grounded work. Maybe his most chilling.
Grounded is a good word for it.
And the core conflict. You've got scientific truth clashing with political survival, corporate interests. It feels disturbingly plausible.
Yeah, like you could almost see it happening. It mirrors things playing out right now in space policy discussions.
Absolutely.
So the story kicks off with this huge announcement. Monumental. Something that could change everything. Science, politics, the works.
NASA claims they found something incredible up on the Milne ice shelf. A meteorite.
Not just any meteorite.
No, this one supposedly has fossils inside. Insect-like extraterrestrial life. Proof positive, if it holds up, that we are not alone.
The ultimate discovery.
The ultimate payoff, yeah. And it's interesting, this whole setup was inspired by a real event, wasn't it?
That's right. The ALH 84001 meteorite, found in Antarctica back in '84.
And years later, scientists made that controversial claim about microfossils from Mars. Big debate.
Huge debate. But Brown takes that idea and cranks up the pressure cooker. His fictional discovery happens at the absolute worst political moment.
Oh, politically it's explosive, because it drops right before a nail-biter of a U.S. presidential election.
And the incumbent, President Zachary Hurney, he's in trouble.
Big trouble. Hurney's a big NASA supporter, right? He wants to keep funding flowing.
But his campaign is really suffering. There have been these costly mission failures. NASA's budget keeps going up and up.
The agency, in the book, is desperate. They need a win. A big public relations miracle.
And boom, this meteorite lands in their lap. It looks like the perfect thing to save Hurney's campaign, to justify all that government spending on space.
It's almost too perfect.
And then you've got the challenger, Senator Sexton. He's running on the complete opposite platform.
Yeah, Sexton wants to basically dismantle NASA, shut it down.
His argument is classic. Government bureaucracy kills innovation. Let the private sector take over.
And let's just say that position is very, very popular with the private aerospace companies who are just starting to flex their muscles.
You bet. They see NASA as this big roadblock. Get rid of it, deregulate, and the market's wide open for them.
So that's the political battlefield, and into this steps our protagonist, Rachel Sexton.
She's not your typical action hero. She's, 34? Single? Works as a data analyst?
Right, for the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office. That's a crucial detail. Her whole job is about intelligence data, objectivity, skepticism. Integrity is her brand.
She's also Senator Sexton's daughter.
And that relationship is toxic, deeply antagonistic. She blames him, his infidelity, for her mother's death years ago in a car accident. She sees him as fundamentally untrustworthy.
So when President Hurney personally called her, ask her to go to the Arctic.
It's a brilliant political move by Hurney, pure tactics.
He needs someone to verify this amazing discovery, someone independent.
Independent, exactly. Who better than an analyst from the NRO, known for her integrity, and who just happens to be the daughter of the guy trying to kill NASA?
It positions her perfectly as this objective voice against her own father's cynicism.
But she has no idea, does she? She's just a pawn, a very intelligent, very capable pawn, but a pawn nonetheless.
Yeah, completely unwitting. So they fly her up there to this futuristic base on the ice shelf, this Habisphere.
And she joins this hand-picked verification team.
You've got Michael Tolland. He's a sort of celebrity oceanographer, very calm, very charismatic.
Corky Marlinson, the astrophysicist. World-renowned and already totally convinced the meteorite is real. He's a true believer.
Then Nora Mangor, the glaciologist, described as kind of prickly.
And Wiley Ming, the paleontologist. A diverse group of experts.
The initial vibe up there, it's just
that big.
awe, right? They see the fossil, they're blown away.
Absolutely. They're thinking this could be it. Proof of panspermia.
Panspermia. Can you remind us what that is?
Sure. It's the theory that life isn't unique to Earth, that the seeds of life, maybe microbes or basic organic material, are actually spread throughout the universe, maybe on meteorites, comets, cosmic dust.
So this meteorite would be the ultimate proof of that. Life came from space.
Potentially, yes. That's the initial thrill. But the brilliance of the setup, the tension Brown creates, is how fast that feeling is meant to shatter.
Right, how quickly that awe turns into suspicion when they actually start doing their jobs, scrutinizing the find.
Exactly. The clock is ticking from the moment they arrive.
So you've got this massive discovery. It could save NASA, win an election, change how we see ourselves in the cosmos. But the big question hanging over everything, the question driving this whole deep dive is, what if it's fake?
What if it's the most elaborate, high-stakes deception imaginable?
And what kind of power, what kind of operation would it take to actually pull that off
Mm,
and keep it quiet?
that's the hook. And the way the story unfolds from there, the structure, it works so well.
Yeah, that initial scientific high
Yeah.
cracks almost immediately.
It's fascinating how quickly it happens. It forces everyone involved, not just Rachel, to question everything, not just the rock in front of them, but the institutions, the people they trusted, their own judgment.
It becomes a moral crisis as much as a scientific one.
Completely. The shift from awe to deep suspicion is incredibly fast.
It's that classic thriller turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rachel sees the fossil, she has that moment of wonder, maybe even thinks, wow, panspermia, it's real.
But then the doubts creep in, and it starts with one specific scientific anomaly, thanks to Wiley Ming.
The paleontologist, what does he find?
He's looking closely at the extraction site, the hole where they pulled the meteorite from the ice, and he spots something off, something in the water at the bottom of the pit.
Just water.
Well, he rushes to get a sample. It's a tiny detail, seems minor, but it's the first thread that starts unraveling the whole story. It immediately casts doubt on whether this thing came from space.
And when doubt appears.
The floodgates open, the team starts noticing other things, anomalies, inconsistencies, and this sparks these really intense scientific debates right there in the hemisphere.
High-stakes debates because the president is waiting for their confirmation.
Exactly, and the key debate, the one Rachel really pushes, involves the structure of the rock itself.
She uses her NRO analyst brain, right? Tells Tolland, the oceanographer, look at this without assuming it's a meteorite.
Yes, she forces them to question the basics, specifically these tiny structures inside the rock that look like chondrules.
Chondrules, like a technical term. Why are they important?
Okay, so chondrules are these little kind of glassy spheres. You find them in almost all primitive meteorites, the really old ones.
Right.
They're thought to form way out in the early solar system, like tiny molten droplets that cooled super fast in space, zero gravity, vacuum conditions.
So finding them in a rock should mean it's a meteorite. That's expected evidence.
Exactly. It's usually a key indicator of extraterrestrial origin. But Rachel and the team start wondering, could these things, or something that looks like them, actually form here on Earth?
Under what conditions?
Under extreme pressure, like the massive hydrostatic pressure miles down, deep beneath an ice shelf. There's this mention of a fringe theory by some fictional scientist, Dr. Pollack.
So the idea is maybe these aren't space chondrules at all. Maybe they formed right here.
Precisely. And if these chondrule-like things formed on Earth,
Then the rock isn't a meteorite.
it's just a rock, a terrestrial rock that's been altered, planted, faked.
Wow. Okay. That changes everything. The scientific debate instantly becomes an existential threat to the entire mission, to the president, to NASA.
And just as the science is collapsing, Rachel's own internal conflict just goes into overdrive.
Because she realizes she's been played.
Totally. She sees she's a pawn in this huge political game specifically used against her own father. Her NRO instincts are screaming, analyze the data objectively.
But her personal history with Senator Sexton, her deep-seated belief that he's, as the book says, selfish, greedy, and a liar.
It makes her incredibly suspicious, maybe even predisposed to believe the absolute worst-case scenario that this whole massive discovery is a lie cooked up for political gain.
Which, ironically, is exactly what her father would suspect, though for different reasons.
Right. The cynicism runs deep on all sides.
And speaking of lies and manipulation, we need to talk more about Senator Sexton himself. He's not painted as a particularly nice guy.
Not at all. The sources describe him as thoroughly corrupt, ruthless, takes bribes, uses his office for personal gain.
Including having an affair with his own aide, Gabrielle Ash.
Yes, and that affair, that personal corruption, actually fuels a whole secondary conspiracy. It provides the vital link to the bigger political and corporate forces at play.
How so?
Because Gabrielle, his aide and mistress, discovers something huge. She finds out Sexton isn't just campaigning against NASA on principle. He's secretly backed financially by a powerful group.
Let me guess. Private aerospace companies.
Bingo. A whole coalition of them. These aren't little startups. These are major players who stand to make billions if NASA is dissolved and the space sector is privatized.
That really does mirror the real-world situation, doesn't it? That tension between what they call old space, the government agencies like NASA, and the new space companies.
It absolutely does. Our CSIS source talks about this exact dynamic. These new space companies are politically active, they lobby hard, they want deregulation. Senator Sexton in the novel is their perfect champion. He's driven by corporate money and his own ambition.
So he's not just a political opponent to Herney. He represents this huge market force trying to take over what was once purely government territory, even national security infrastructure.
He's the face of that push. So when the scientists up in the Arctic finally confirm the worst, when they realize the rock is definitely a fake,
The people behind the hoax can't let that information get out.
no way. The reaction has to be immediate and brutal,
Before Rachel and the others can even pick up a phone to warn President Herney, they're attacked.
viciously. Wiley Ming, the paleontologist who found the first clue, and Nora Mangor, the glaciologist, they're killed almost instantly.
Just like that. The mission switches from science to survival.
Pure survival. And this raises that really chilling question you find in these kinds of national security thrillers.
Can something supposedly objective, like scientific evidence, especially when it's presented by a trusted agency like NASA and tied to huge political stakes?
Can it be completely faked, manipulated, and then violently covered up by powerful forces within the system itself?
And the answer in Deception Point is a terrifying yes.
An absolutely resounding yes.
Okay, so this is where the pace just slams into high gear, right? It goes from this tense, claustrophobic scientific mystery to this full-blown, desperate survival thriller.
Instantly. It's military action territory now. A brutal chase across the Arctic ice.
And the attack itself tells you a lot. It's not random. It's carried out by a Delta Force team.
Highly trained, elite U.S. military special operators. And the chilling part, they weren't just sent in after the discovery was debunked. They were already there.
Spying on the scientists the whole time.
Exactly, which shows the level of internal surveillance, the depth of the conspiracy right from the start. These guys aren't messing around. They use extreme methods.
Like dropping a flashbang grenade down into a crevasse where some of the scientists are hiding.
Yeah, the goal is a clean kill. Eliminate the witnesses, erase the evidence. Total suppression.
But Rachel, Tolland, and Corky managed to escape. Just barely.
It's an incredibly desperate, almost unbelievable escape sequence. And you even see Corky Marlinson, the astrophysicist who started as this naive, true believer.
He finds this incredible bravery.
Yeah, he ends up sacrificing himself, basically creating a diversion with a flare gun against a helicopter to give Rachel and Tolland a chance. It's a powerful moment.
But even escaping the initial attack is just the beginning. They're being hunted.
Hunted by people with terrifyingly advanced military technology. This is where the book really leans into the high-tech thriller aspect.
Okay, let's get into that tech. What are they up against?
Well, it's not just standard military gear. The sources are specific. They mention surveillance microbots.
Microbots, like tiny drones.
Exactly. Microelectromechanical systems, or MEMS. Think insect-sized robots used for spying, tracking in places where nothing else can go. Very advanced stuff.
Okay, that's creepy. What else?
They're being pursued by something called an Aurora aircraft.
The Aurora, isn't that the rumored, like, top-secret hypersonic spy plane? The one nobody's sure actually exists?
That's a legend, yeah. Brown throws it in there. Plus a Kiowa Warrior helicopter, which is a real reconnaissance and attack helicopter.
And they even have weapons that make their own bullets.
Yeah, weapons that manufacture their own munitions on the fly. It suggests cutting-edge, maybe even experimental, non-standard military tech deployed for this covert operation.
This is where Rachel's background becomes so important, isn't it? Her being an NRO analyst.
Absolutely crucial. The NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, is a major U.S. intelligence agency. They build and run the spy satellites, their main customer, the Department of Defense.
So having her boss turn out to be the villain.
It grounds the whole high-tech chase in the real world of the U.S. intelligence and military complex. It makes the conspiracy feel internal, plausible within that shadowy structure.
It highlights where the real power in space might actually lie. Maybe not always with NASA, the public face.
But with the intelligence community, the DoD, they have the classified budgets, the bleeding-edge tech, the operational capabilities.
That CSIS analysis we mentioned, it talks about this friction, right, between different government agencies involved in space.
Oh, yeah. Constant tension over budgets, control, priorities between the State Department, NASA, the DoD, It's complex. The fictional use of Delta Force, the Aurora, these microbots, it reflects that ultimate power dynamic. The military and intelligence side often has capabilities far beyond the civilian side.
Which means they could potentially do something like this?
The capability is there, fictionally speaking. And then, to escape this high-tech pursuit, the survivors need equally advanced covert help.
Which comes from underwater.
The Navy submarine USS Charlotte. It represents that other side of elite military power: stealth, sophisticated listening gear, the ability to operate unseen even under Arctic ice, to pinpoint their location and pull off a rescue.
The whole chase sequence really shows how this cutting-edge tech can be used for good or evil, doesn't it?
It's all about dual-use technology, and that ties directly into real-world policy debates, things like ITAR and EAR regulations.
Remind us what those are.
ITAR is the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, and EAR is the Export Administration Regulations. They're complex rules designed to control the export of sensitive technologies.
Stuff that can be used for civilian things, like satellite parts, but also for military things, like missile guidance.
Exactly. Or surveillance tech. Those fictional microbots are a perfect example of highly sensitive dual-use tech being deployed here for a deadly, illegal mission. It's a stark illustration of how national security tools could, theoretically, be turned inward against perceived threats to the system.
It's a chilling thought.
Very.
Okay, so if we zoom out now, connect all these threads, the narrative really shows us these two opposing forces, these two power structures, battling for the future of America's space program.
Yeah, two competing conspiracies almost. And understanding them is key to understanding the book's political commentary.
And the biggest twist, the identity of the mastermind behind the original conspiracy, the meteorite hoax. It's not the obvious suspect.
No, it's not Senator Sexton, the corporate shill. The big reveal is that the architect of the whole deadly deception is Rachel Sexton's own boss.
William Pickering, the director of the NRO.
The head of one of the most powerful intelligence agencies in the country. He's the one secretly commanding the Delta Force team. He orchestrated the entire fake meteorite plot from the beginning.
That's a huge reveal. But his motive, it's complex, isn't it? It's not simple greed.
No, and that's what makes him a compelling, if terrifying, antagonist. His goal wasn't personal gain. He wasn't trying to get rich or seize political office for himself.
He believed he was saving NASA.
Exactly. He saw Senator Sexton's campaign as an existential threat to NASA, and he believed NASA was absolutely vital for U.S. national security. So he cooked up this massive hoax, the meteorite discovery.
To guarantee President Ernie's re-election because Ernie supported NASA.
Right. He thought a spectacular success, even a fake one, was the only way to save the agency from Sexton's budget cuts.
But the cost? Murdering scientists, trying to kill Rachel.
That's the horrifying ethical compromise he makes. He operates on that cold, ruthless calculus. Sacrifice a few innocent lives to save the many, or at least to save what he perceives as the critical national interest, NASA.
There's a personal element driving him too, isn't there? Something about his daughter.
Yes. The book reveals his intense motivation is partly fueled by grief. His daughter died years earlier, and he blames her death on NASA budget cuts that, in his mind, compromised safety procedures on a mission she was involved in.
So he's obsessed. He sees protecting NASA's funding, preserving its capabilities, as preventing future tragedies, even if he have to commit atrocities to do it.
It's a very dark, twisted kind of patriotism, and it connects in a grim way to those real-world concerns about space safety.
Like the Challenger and Columbia disaster.
Precisely. That CSIS analysis we keep mentioning discusses how those tragedies forced a huge shift in NASA's safety culture. The argument became that robust safety protocols, even if they seem bureaucratic, don't stifle progress. They enable it by preventing catastrophic failures.
Pickering's fictional logic is the complete opposite. He thinks only a massive lie, a dangerous shortcut, can save the institution. It's a tragic inversion of that real-world lesson about safety.
Very tragic inversion. Now contrast Pickering's deadly, patriotic deception with Senator Sexton's game.
Sexton's playing a completely different angle. He finds out about the hoax because Rachel, in desperation, faxes him the proof.
Right. And what does Sexton do? Does he worry about his daughter's safety? No. His immediate reaction is, how can I use this information to destroy President Herney and NASA and boost my own campaign?
Pure political opportunity.
Pure corporate and personal ambition. Remember, he's backed by those private aerospace companies that want NASA gone. This hoax is political dynamite for him.
It really lays bare that core theme. Space isn't just about exploration. It's a battleground for political power and enormous financial gain. The private sector lobbying, the political maneuvering. It's intense.
You could even look at this whole conflict through a more theoretical lens, like Michel Foucault's ideas about power and knowledge.
Foucault. Okay, how does that apply here?
Well, Foucault argued that power isn't just something governments or people have. It operates through systems of knowledge. And knowledge itself, what counts as truth, who gets to define it, becomes a weapon, a strategy in struggles for power.
Okay, I think I see. So the knowledge here is the meteorite discovery or the truth about the hoax.
Exactly. And you see two distinct alliances using knowledge as a tactic.
Alliance 1.
That's Sexton's alliance. The senator, his aide Gabrielle, and the private space lobbyists. Their tactic is exposure. They want to reveal the hoax, expose the failure and corruption in the government system, Herney NASA, to dismantle it and open the door for private profit.
Okay, makes sense. Alliance 2.
That's Herney's alliance. The president, NASA, key advisors like Marjorie Tench, and secretly NRO Director Pickering and his Delta Force. Their tactic is creation and preservation.
They create false knowledge, the meteorite hoax, to preserve the institution, maintain political power, and keep the funding flowing.
Right. So the knowledge itself, the meteorite data, Rachel's facts confirming the hoax, even the photos of Sexton's affair later on, it all gets weaponized.
Pickering uses the creation of knowledge to protect the system. Sexton tries to use the exposure of that knowledge for corporate gain.
And then, ultimately, Rachel and Gabrielle use the exposure of purely personal knowledge, the affair photos, to achieve a political end, to destroy Sexton's career.
So the deception isn't just one person lying. It's deeply institutional, ideological.
Yeah.
It's about who controls the narrative, who controls the truth.
Precisely. In this world, objective truth becomes just another tool, another weapon in the power game. Integrity is almost a disadvantage. That complexity is what makes it more than just a thriller.
And you really see Sexton's character when Rachel faxes him that proof. She's terrified, begging for help.
And his first thought is purely political calculation. How does this help me? Even with his daughter potentially about to be killed by military assassins.
It's chilling. Political ambition completely overrides everything else.
Which sets up the final showdown. It gets pretty dramatic, right? The confrontation with Pickering.
Yeah, it culminates in this chaotic sequence where Pickering, his Delta Force team, their whole research ship, they get caught in some kind of massive underwater vortex or whirlpool.
A rather convenient, if symbolic, end for the mastermind. The man who wielded immense covert power for what he saw as the greater good gets swallowed by the uncontrollable forces of nature he was trying to manipulate.
A fitting end, maybe. So let's try and pull all this together now. Time to land this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Deception Point came out in 2001. And like we said, it often gets praised as this strong, standalone novel. A lot of critics actually preferred it to the Robert Langdon books.
Yeah, because the focus was different. It was grounded in science, technology, politics, things that felt more tangible, less reliant on ancient symbols and religious conspiracy.
Though the Dan Brown formula is definitely still there. You can spot it.
Oh, absolutely. The super short chapters, the constant cliffhangers keeping you turning pages, that relentless pacing.
And that classic twist. The trusted mentor figure, the boss, Pickering, turns out to be the main villain all along.
It definitely follows his successful structure.
But to really get a handle on where Deception Point sits, thematically, it's really interesting to compare it to an older film.
You're thinking of Capricorn 1.
Exactly. The 1978 movie.
Yeah.
Because both stories are fundamentally about the same thing. Faking a major space event, a discovery, or a mission, specifically to save NASA's funding from being cut.
Capricorn 1 is such a product of its era, isn't it? Post-Watergate cynicism was running high.
Totally. And it tapped right into that growing fringe belief, that conspiracy theory, that the Apollo moon landings might have been faked.
The movie's tagline was brutally direct. The mission was a sham. The murders were real. Chilling stuff for the time.
But the scenario in Capricorn 1 is slightly different from Deception Point, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a key difference. In Capricorn 1, the manned mission to Mars is real, but it fails before launch because of a faulty life support system. They can't admit failure because the funding will be cut instantly.
So the head of NASA forces the astronauts to fake the Mars landing from a secret film set in the desert. The lie is a cover-up for a genuine failure.
Right. It's a desperate last-ditch effort to save a program they believe in, even though they failed. It sort of dilutes the inherent evil of the government's initial plan, maybe. They were reacting to failure.
Whereas in Deception Point, the deception is proactive. Pickering masterminds the entire thing from scratch. He plants a fake meteorite specifically to manipulate an election outcome.
It's not a cover-up. It's an offensive move. A deliberate fabrication of scientific truth used as a political weapon right from the start.
Which arguably feels more relevant to our current era, doesn't it? With concerns about disinformation, deepfakes, the deliberate manipulation of information online, Brown's scenario feels very 21st century.
I think so. The idea of proactively creating a fact to achieve an ideological goal seems more resonant now than just covering up a mistake.
Okay, so how does it all wrap up in the book after the big confrontation?
Well, we get that final bit of political chess. Rachel and Gabrielle, Sexton's aide, team up.
An unlikely alliance.
Very. And they have the proof of the hoax, Rachel's facts. They could release it, which would destroy Herney and NASA, but it would help Sexton, the corporate candidate.
So they don't.
No. Instead, they swap the facts. They leak photos of Senator Sexton's affair with Gabrielle to the press.
Ouch. The personal scandal.
It's the ultimate political kill switch. The humiliation forces Sexton out of the race, ends his presidential ambitions, and stops the corporate takeover of NASA dead in its tracks.
All without revealing the massive government conspiracy and the murders orchestrated by Pickering.
Exactly. Sexton is ruined personally. Pickering is conveniently gone. The power structure kind of resets. Rachel, Tolland, and Corky before his sacrifice. Or wait, Corky survives, doesn't he? My memory is fuzzy on his final fate.
I think Corky survives, yes.
No.
Wiley Ming and Nora Mangor were killed early on. Pickering and the Delta Force go into the vortex. So Rachel, Tolland, and Corky are the surviving scientists.
Right, Corky survives. So the three survivors are rescued, the status quo is preserved, NASA stays public, but at a terrible cost. 2 scientists murdered, a massive ethical breach covered up, and Rachel and Tolland are free to pursue their relationship.
It's a somewhat unsettling, happy ending.
Very unsettling, and that core conflict, that fictional battle over NASA's funding, the government versus private interests, it really does echo the exact same debates happening for real today in the U.S. space sector.
Absolutely. That CSIS analysis confirms it. The private space industry is investing heavily, lobbying hard. There's real friction between old space and new space.
These companies want policy changes, deregulation, faster market access. They're pushing hard.
And everyone's trying to find that balance between encouraging innovation and managing risk, right?
It's incredibly difficult. The companies say, look, safety is paramount, we learned from Challenger and Columbia. But they also argue that overly strict regulations like ITAR and EAR can stifle development, scare away investors.
And maybe let competitors like China or Russia get ahead.
That's the fear. So the tension is immense.
And the lesson, maybe, from both the fiction and the reality, is that the potential for deception, or at least, let's say, strategic information management, in the pursuit of power or profit is always there.
It's a constant risk. Whether it's a government official trying to hide a failure, like in Capricorn 1, or a politician exploiting a crisis, or even a Pickering-type figure fabricating truth for ideological reasons, the stakes just keep getting higher.
Especially when you look at the money involved. The global space industry is already worth hundreds of billions. Projections say over $1 trillion by 2040.
The pressure to control that domain, to decide who gets to operate in space, who profits from it, it's only going to intensify.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given the dangers we see in Deception Point, a high-ranking intelligence director like Pickering taking lethal action, convinced he's acting for national security, where should we draw the line in the real world?
Should governments adopt that smart regulation approach that many real-world aerospace companies advocate for? You know, set basic safety standards, ensure things don't fall out of the sky, but otherwise get out of the way to let innovation rip.
Or does the huge strategic importance of space, the very reason Pickering felt justified in his extreme actions, actually demand much tighter government control? Does it require the level of secrecy, the concentrated power we see in these thrillers, even if that creates the risk of those same ethical compromises, those potential abuses of power?
It's a massive question. How do you balance innovation, national security, corporate interests, and ethical responsibility when the final frontier is opening up?
A debate that definitely goes far beyond the Arctic ice.